Hello and good afternoon. It is August 2nd, 2023. I am Joe Justice. You are listening to the Kanawha Valley Hustlers podcast. You will see right there in the comments that there's actually a link to our brand new Kanawha Valley Hustlers Adults t-shirts. So I hope you get a chance to check those out. That's got our new design with the black bear and the Kanawha Valley in the background. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you get a chance to click on it. We got all kinds of sizes and colors. Really excited about that. And I know I talked a little earlier this week about maybe jazzing it up with a little bit faster paced music, and I heard from some people saying, yeah, we need some speed, we need some excitement, we need some energy. So next week, I will be coming to you with a little bit more energy and some faster music so that we can really get into the hustling spirit when we join the Kanawha Valley Hustlers here 3 days a week, live from Charleston. I want to introduce you all today to a really cool guy that I met a few weeks ago at a business after hours. He's got a pretty interesting business right here out of the Kanawha Valley, and I think you'll find it very interesting. His name is Sam Perry. He is the owner of Tabletop Strongholds, and he's had a little bit of trouble here lately we're going to dig into. But before we start talking about that, Sam, could you tell me, what's your hustle, buddy?
Hey, nice to be on here. Thank you for having me on. I make display cases for miniature games like Warhammer and D&D. It's both a display case and transportation. It uses magnets that stick to the bottom of your models, and then they stick to the steel trays, so it's an easy way to display and move your models.
Now, for people that don't know, tell me a little bit about what, I think a lot of people have probably heard about Dungeons and Dragons. They know, the games from back in the 80s and the 90s. I think that was really big in the zeitgeist, but probably not Warhammer and some of the other ones. What are these figures? What are they displaying? What are these things used for? Tell me a little bit about the tabletop gaming world.
Okay. So the reason why it's more specifically for something like Warhammer is Warhammer is a lot like Armament with rules. It's basically a bunch of miniatures. You buy them in kits, you put them together, you paint them. And to play a game, you usually need, anywhere from 50 to 300 miniatures. So it requires a lot more miniatures than most other games, and it's a very expensive hobby. Easily
and
an
now more than
army.
just miniatures, like I know you said that this was like army men, but we're not talking about little green pieces of plastic here, right?
No. These are, I mean, well, they are. I mean, they are made out of plastic, but yes, these are really high detail miniatures, and are very expensive. I mean, you're talking about you're spending $60 to $100 for 5 miniatures. I mean, these are very expensive miniatures.
And a lot of people,
Um,
they paint their own, right?
yes, that's a big part of the hobby is painting your own miniatures, and putting them together. It's very time consuming. It was never my favorite part.
And that's where your product comes in, right? Is displaying those painted figures. You've got lots of money, you've got lots of time invested in this hobby, and you want everybody to see it, right?
Yeah, it's you want to be able to display them and show them off. Another big issue usually is just transporting them. They're very delicate miniatures. They're pretty small. Most people will use some sort of foam or foam layering, but a big issue with something like foam is you got to store them. You're not displaying them. They're in a box or something with foam, and when you take them out, it's annoying, and it's really easy to have them break off and lose pieces because they get stuck on the foam. So that's a
And you
big
don't
part of
want to
what I made.
you don't want to lose pieces when when you're spending that kind of money and that kind of time on your hobby, right?
No, no, you definitely don't. That was a big part of what made me want to make something a lot better.
Well, some people might be wondering before we get into what your product, I hate to say was because I know it's going to be back better than ever here soon, but some people might be wondering why we've got you in front. You're not in a workshop, you're not in an office, you're not in a factory. Tell me what happened here recently and break down for us why you're in the garage and why you've got all those boxes behind you.
Okay. So I ran a my business out of a large workshop at the tail end, kind of St. Albans, right across from Ann Bailey Elementary School. And on Father's Day, it's still not 100% clear, but it seems that it was an electrical fire started, and it quickly grew out of control. Um, there was around 10 fire trucks trying to put the fire out. Nobody got hurt, thankfully, and that's obviously the biggest things. Nobody got hurt.
That's great.
But I did not have insurance. I was hoping to move to a different workshop soon, and also just it's one of those things you learn the hard way something something like that
Yeah.
you just always
Yeah.
should have it. So I did not. So I lost all of my equipment, all of my materials, and all of that stuff. And I had been actually stockpiling a lot of the laser cut portion of my product because I was actually waiting on these boxes. These are the steel trays that you would stick your models onto. And one of the benefits is these were so late, actually, they arrived after the fires. They were all spared that. And this is, it works out. Now there's so many of them that just stuffs this entire garage full. And that's kind of why I'm in here, just to kind of show what it's like. That's what that looks like. It's $25,000 of steel trays and a bunch of boxes. Fills up
So
a garage.
in that workshop, you manufactured these display cases yourself, right?
Yes. So
And these were
I
sold all over the United States, right?
yes, they were shipped online, basically exclusively. But yeah, I've had sales to every state, including Alaska and Hawaii.
So before this unfortunate fire, you were well on your way to having a really good, stable e-commerce business, manufacturing business with all this, right?
Yeah, the business is relatively new. It basically started around the start of 2022, um, but it didn't really start like production or anything, or like the website didn't exist until May. I mean, just May of last year to like May of this year was $200,000 in revenue. So it had been
That's
doing really,
amazing.
really well. And I don't come from any sort of generational wealth, and I never had any debt or loans or anything. It all started with $2,000 and me spending the rest of my money to buy my first laser cutter. I mean, that was all I had going into it.
That's great. And I know you're going to get back on your feet, Sam. I know you're going to get everything back under control and you're going to be back at it. And I want to let everybody know I'm going to put the link in the comments if you're watching this afterwards. Make sure you check. Sam does have a GoFundMe set up. So if you would like to contribute a little bit to him getting back up on his feet, you can do that. And I'm going to put that link in there. But Sam, I do want to ask, that was pretty good revenue starting out. What is it about your product that made it so unique, that made people want it so much?
I think it was a multitude of things. I think that, like I was already saying, the most common way to transport your models is something like, foam layering or something like that. And it's just not very convenient. It's very annoying. It's very time consuming. And, you know, for me, I want to display my miniatures and I don't want to have to then take them out of a display case and then move them in something else, then move them out again. It's a very fast way to solve the problem. And another big part for me was trying to actually be competitive on price. Even though mine offers more features, it's very intentional that it's much more, it's priced much more aggressively. It costs less than a lot of just the simple foam layered cases. So it's meant to be much more competitive because there's not a lot of competition in this sort of market.
And what so is your product was unique in that it wasn't one of these traditional foam style cases?
No, it relying off of magnets and steel trays, and also being a display case and transportation case is what made it stand out.
And you had a little bit of a cutting edge manufacturing process, didn't you?
Um, well, yeah, I mean, I used CO2 laser cutters to precision cut them out of MDF. Um, so
Break that down for me a little for people that don't know what MDF is and laser cutters and all that. Just kind of explain that to me a little bit.
okay, so MDF is a compressed wood dust board. It's basically just a mixture of wood dust and glue that's compressed and heated. It's a very consistent, reliable. A lot of kitchen cabinets are actually made out of it. It's a very reliable, sturdy, strong material. Um, and for laser cutting, that is a CO2 laser, which generates a fairly powerful invisible laser, bounces off a couple of mirrors, and then it's also very precise. And you can make designs. So like I made all my designs in a 2D CAD, send that over to the machine, and it will cut them out
And then you put
from
those
there.
together from there, right?
Yes. So the only things you needed to actually put a case together, they came flat packed. You just needed a screwdriver and a some needle nose pliers. That's all you need to put them together. Everything else was done by me.
All right. Well, that's very cool. Well, Sam, we are coming up on our time here, and this has been really cool getting to talk to you and letting people know about some of the stuff that's being created right here. That's very creative, very different, and it's not just local businesses that are being created here in the Kanawha Valley. It's people that the world's so small now with e-commerce. If you've got an idea and you want to manufacture it, you can sell it all over the world, really, right?
Yeah. I didn't ship too much globally, but that was something I was trying to work on. I did have a couple, like there was a
I know
couple of Kiwis
Warhammer's
that bought
big
them.
in England, right?
Yes, it is. It is incredibly common there. It's one of the most common, like just games in general there. There's a Games Workshop I've heard like on every street. So I'd love
Yeah.
to get into that market more as I can once I get back up on my feet.
Well, I know that you'll do it. Outside of that GoFundMe, is there anything else you would like everybody to know about? Any way people can reach out to you if they want to, or get in touch with you?
Um, the biggest other issue right now has mostly been just trying to find a new location to, rent out or lease. So, warehouse space. I was in an old car shop. I mean, that type of space, warehouse, concrete floors, that kind of stuff. Not a whole lot's posted online here. A lot of stuff's word of mouth. So, I mean, if you know somebody or you own land or are trying to lease out any sort of workshop space, then I'd love to hear about it and check it out.
All right, perfect. So there you go, everyone. If you get a chance, if you check this out and you know somebody that's got some space that they're trying to rent out, Sam's looking. So let's keep that in mind. All right, Sam. Well, I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you here in just a second. Hang on there. I'm going to say goodbye and I'll be right back, okay?
All right. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Thank you so much for watching the Kanawha Valley Hustlers or listening. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to check out the description. I will put the link to that GoFundMe so you guys can check that out and learn a little bit more about Sam and his product. And once he gets back up on his feet, if you're into Warhammer or you're into Dungeons and Dragons or any of those kinds of games, then maybe you could buy one of his display cases. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will talk to you guys later this week. See you on Friday. Bye-bye for now.